Well, we had a lot of fun in Zandvoort last week. We saw drivers fighting it hard for the win. We saw fights all over the place. Um, like I said, many positions being fought, so many great battles, all the fun stuff. But now we are here at Ferrari's home turf. This is the Temple of Speed in Monza. We are here for round 14 of 22 of the RPL Season 9 F1 Championship, and this is where things is going to get really fun. So welcome along, ladies and gentlemen. Titan Ironwolf on deck yet again for commentary. Now, I ain't alone right now. I mean, he's currently in the party right now. My partner, Ryan Alcon, is in the party right now. However, his attention is a little bit tied up to a NASCAR Craftsman truck race, so he'll probably be piping up a little bit later, but he is here. I did see he was in the lobby, but then the game booted him out.
And I got back in. I was lucky to get back in. Thank goodness.
Good.
Yep, I'm good. I got back in, so glad to be alongside you. The unfortunate part is it's short qualifying. I hate that. I think it's since the first time since Monaco. Did Canada have short qualifying? I wasn't here for Canada, so you could
I think
fill
it
me in
was
on that.
Monaco. That was the last time we ever had short qualifying.
Monaco
It's only the
was.
second time this season. I mean, we came close in Imola, but we managed to get enough to get a full quality session to get going.
So the drivers are
But anyway,
saying,
so we have 17 drivers here today. We may have more coming in. I don't know. Things have been a bit whack. But let's take a look at our results here. As we're on board with one of the drivers here. So Reece was the winner in. Reece was the winner in Netherlands. Despite getting a penalty, he beat Cam by 0.09 of a second to claim another whip victory. And Flaw, aka T.S. Korsman, wound up finishing in third for McLaren. In the Drivers' Championship, Reece continues his lead over Scyther. He is now 91 points ahead. Scyther, once again, he is actually here, so Scyther will get a chance to knock a dent into the deficit here. So he is in second, 91 points behind. Darius, who's sitting in third, 98 points behind. He is not here still, but I mean, he has a 98 points behind, and he has a comfortable 15-point lead over TB, who's in the Alpine today. Indy Constructors, Red Bull still leading the charge with a 113-point lead over Ferrari, 433 to 320, and Mercedes is still sitting in second with a 194, and they're ahead of McLaren by one, who has 121. So, yeah. I'm gonna interrupt for just a second, but you're not talking whatsoever. Party audio is on too.
am I talking now? Here we go. Let's see.
There we go.
There we go. All right, good. Good. So yeah, what I was just saying to you guys for just a moment there was interesting. Titan spoke of the word interesting, and I did too. What was interesting is the fact that rain race in RPL in Tier 1 since round number 5 Imola earlier in the season. That's interesting. Also, because drivers did say there is rain in the race. So we will have rain in the race. Also, with that said, the other thing I mentioned, where was it? I can't find it. Wow. Oh, straight line speed. Yes. So, I'm pretty sure you have it on miles per hour. Or you have to enable your telemetry for me to know if you have it on miles per hour, kilometers per hour. But, yeah, you have it on miles per hour, and that's no word. That's good because that's what I use as well. But the big thing we'll talk about in qualifying and in the race, because you mentioned the tempo speed for our home turf. Well, straight line speed does come into factor here, Titan. That said, top speed, well, the fastest cars in a straight line, Red Bull, Ferrari at 366 kilometers per hour, and then the slowest being Mercedes, Aston, and Williams with 351. So you have a 15 mile per hour range. We will focus on that because the cars do a lot of straight line speed here. We'll take advantage with the 2 DR zones and the long straights. So a lot to look forward to. Short qualifying, unfortunately, Titan. First time we've had that since Monaco, but you know what? It made a good qualifying on Monaco, so hopefully it makes a good one here.
Liking that indeed. So, as we're getting the drivers getting set to go for the short qualifying, as said, first short qualifying in the season since Monaco. This is the second time this has ever happened. Now, reason for it is because we had a limited amount of drivers that showed up. Some of them will be showing up during the qualifying, but maybe a little later. But now, since it's short qualifying, just on the timer, they literally got 10 minutes. Any stragglers to get into the session. But we have 17 right now, and let's go over that group on who is where. So we have Luke in the Mercedes, Beatnik Mercedes, Scyther Ferrari, Annex, who is making his Tier 1 debut. He's in the AlphaTauri. Shanghai in Aston Martin, TB Alpine, Reece Red Bull, Tadpole in Tadpole in Aston Martin, Zakaria Williams, Owen Haas, Cryptic in the Red Bull, Hunted AlphaTauri, Josh in Ferrari, FBL Williams, Redfire, and McLaren, Cam in Alfa Romeo, and lastly Will, who was initially planned to be in Haas. He is not here. He's in the Alpine, and he's actually not taking part because of that last second switch, he has a qualifying ban. So the only 3 drivers not here, so we are missing a second McLaren. That would have been Lewis Piper, but we don't know where he is up to. We had the second Alfa Romeo, which was gonna be Florian, but unfortunately Florian suffered a wheel failure, so he is not gonna be taking part. And then the second Haas, well, I mean technically it was gonna be Will, but then Minions' Power decided to go screw you, and that's why Will is now in the Alpine. But another driver that's not here, Jack Miles, he is not here because his controller decided to go screw you on him.
Interesting choice there. Zakaria is just at a time. It is 8th fastest. Reece has left the session. You see he's currently fastest. And his Red Bull 19-0. We'll figure out a way to get Reece back in here. But with that being said,
don't you have him on EA? You could probably get him.
I don't think so. I don't know if I have him on EA, but I will check. A couple notable things. Beatnik.
I know I do.
Return to Mercedes. First start for Mercedes since Japan last season. So I thought that was interesting to mention. Annex making, I think, a Tier 1 debut. I could be wrong.
Yeah, it is his debut.
There you go. So that's something I find very interesting. And Cam, who took pole last week for Ferrari, getting their 10th pole. Yes, 10th pole. He goes back to Alfa Romeo for this week, with Skidder back after missing a 6th race of the season. And in fact, in all of his starts, he's not finished worse than second, except for the last rain race back in Imola. He's back this week trying to recover that championship gap.
Yeah, as Ryan Alcom mentioned it, Scyther wound up getting 11th in that event, but literally all the other races he's taken part in, he got second in Jeddah, won Baku and Miami, won Spain, got second in Monaco, and then got second in Belgium. So literally Australia, then the streak of Canada to Hungary and Netherlands. He was unable to make those races. Speaking about it with another driver, basically similar in the same similar boat, Reece, he, except for one race, which was a 9th place in Spain, he finished basically on the podium every single race, with the exception of Jeddah, because Jeddah he didn't attend.
Exactly. And those are the two consistent drivers. I looked up some stuff about Reece, and the fact that he's finished second in the Drivers' Championship 2 times now. He's looking for his first. You know how hungry he is about that. Putting it fastest so far, 19-0 with 6 minutes remaining. I mean, doesn't that just show already that he really wants it? In fact, he's going to try everything he can to defend over Scyther's comeback as well. I want to see who's on board with the hot lap so we can kind of give our viewers a detail of the track. We know, everyone knows corners such as Ascari, Parabolica, Lesmos, very historic corners around this track, and Beatnik puts the second fast. It's interesting. But with that said, we don't always describe how important certain things with track limits, curbing is, multiple things around the track. If we can find a driver and kind of describe that to you visually as the viewer, we would love to do that. I don't know who's on a lap though. Skidder just went second fastest, so you're captain of the championship I won too. But I don't know anyone who's on a lap though, at least, or at least starting the one. There's some people on a lap, but there's no one starting any, so we'll have to figure that out in a moment as Cam just went 10 fastest.
Yeah, so Cam went 11th fastest in that Alfa Romeo. I mean, yeah, with Monza, there's so many iconic corners, and there's even some very well-known RPL moments that happened at this track. We're on board with Cryptic as he's going through the first Variant chicane. Now, this chicane has had multiple wow moments. Who could forget when Beatnik in Season 5 misjudged his braking into Turn 1 and straight-lined a couple of drivers? Got into some serious trouble there. Or the fact last season when Reece and TB collided together. No, sorry. Was it Reece and TB? I think it was Reece and TB. When they collided together in Turn 2 on the final lap, and it resulted in Lewis Piper picking up an extremely unexpected win. Yep. Or who could forget in Season 7, in the second Lesmos with 2 to go, did Schiller and Jacob Adamczak collide together with 2 to go in the second Lesmos, which resulted in Beatnik taking the lead and then just barely beating Jack to claim his second win in that season. Like I said, there's a lot of iconic corners, but also this track has had a lot of history and memories for the RPL drivers.
Yeah, I remember that with the Lesmos, and I was constantly doing a lot of the races back then, more myself. Interesting how times have changed without a doubt. As you mentioned last season, that's the last time an Alpine won a race, I believe. No, that's second to last time, I believe, because Flaw won in Japan last season. So, yeah, Alpine got themselves 2 wins last season. 1 coming in Japan, 1 coming in Monza. Maybe more if I'm wrong. However, Josh turns again. He has 2 wins this season. He didn't race last week, I believe. his 2 wins also are 2 podiums, and you can see him on a lap right now in that Ferrari. And let's see what Josh can make of this. I know you're on board with Hunted, but Josh is quite low on the boards considering he's in a Ferrari. I'll say that. And I don't mean any disrespect by that toward Josh, but he comes through turn 4 and turn 5 now. And now it's going to go to the Lesmos. I see you're on board with Hunted. Oh, there you go. You switched to it. Coming to the Lesmos. Second Lesmo. Oh, flips the curbing. You know, that curbing is hit or miss. Some corners, you want to hit it. Some corners, you don't. He puts the rear wing open. And if you're not out on track right now, then that's a bad choice if you want to try to improve your lap. 10th up on time. Reece is done for the session because he's had lag issues and he's tried getting back in the session, and he's going to have to wait until the race to get back in. So he can defend pole position right now on track. He'll have to do it from the pit lane. 10th and a half up in the middle sector from Josh. Now enters the final corner here, Parabolica, and I think he's trying to go all the way to the grass to find some time in that Ferrari. Comes to the line. It's going to be 7 fastest. He only improves 1 place on the board.
Yeah, and Hunted managed to get his time in, and it's only 11th fastest, a 20.02. But yeah, Josh is 19.6. Not a good time for him to be in the Ferrari. I mean, but to be fair, I mean, maybe he had little to no practice because he was informed as of this morning, Eastern Standard Time, that he had to go into the Ferrari because of Jack's controller failure.
Look at this final
so maybe it's possible Josh didn't get enough practice.
It's all bunching up, and I'm surprised no one there from FBL and the drivers around didn't get an illegal blocking penalty. That's how treacherous that final sector is. And we could potentially see some drivers not make the flag in time, but unlikely. You have a Ferrari starting a lap. That's Scyther. Next, I believe, was Zakaria there. You have more drivers trying to come across the line. Reece from provisional pole position right now, has called it quits because he's in the pit lane, not out on track, and can't defend that pole position. Cryptic, L74G, and Shanghai, the next ones to come across the line and start a lap. Cryptic will be the last one to get to the line. However, it's a matter of seconds. If he can get there in time, he should be safe. He will be safe. So everyone has now started the final lap, and now Titan chooses the driver to follow here, coming to the flag for the battle for pole position and other places on our grid. Checker flag for Tadpole.
We'll see which one is going to be first, and that is going to be TB. He will be the first one to finish off. And Josh has returned to the pits. He is all done. He is currently in the 7th position. I believe, is that Annex or... Oh, looks like Hunter just got a penalty for crashing into FBL.
Wow.
I wonder what the heck happened there. But here goes TB across the line, and he is going to be 6th fastest. Going to be outdone by Annex.
Wow.
Next up is going to be Red Fire. He goes 6th fastest. And Scyther's crashed.
Yeah, he was not improving at all, Titan. He couldn't improve in Sector 2, and he definitely couldn't improve in Sector 3. Here we go to the line. Cam sits 14th. Owen goes 14th. Can anybody improve their positions?
Let's see, Shanghai is up next as he is going to come across to the line now, and he stays 11th. Now, what about the Mercedes pair? First up is Luke. He comes across, and he's 5th. Beatnik stays 4th, but can Cryptic steal it? As Cryptic comes down across the line, and we'll see where he is.
Third.
He stays third. So Reece keeps the position.
Wow. Reece is very lucky that he had the pit lane to save him there because it looked like no one could improve. Beatnik invalidated his lap time. Redfire was the one who improved. Annex and AlphaTauri put it up there. Fair play to him. Yes, it's short qualifying, but fair play to him. TB as well, putting it up there. Josh back there on Ferrari, you know, that little practice that you potentially mentioned, a surprise potentially for him. But it's Reece, Scyther, Cryptic, your top 3. Beatnik, L74G.
Looks like if I read the chat right, Scyther just said awesome curb, so I'm guessing he must have caught a little too much curb in Parabolica and basically crashed the same way Leclerc did back in 2020.
Wow. A lot that could happen in this race. With that being said, if he crashed right there, my goodness. Well, you just saw the rest of your starting order, and now we get ready for the race, which here's your strategy for the race. So it's a soft, hard, medium, hard. Not as likely, but could still happen. A soft, medium. Expect pit stops anywhere from lap 9 to lap 16. And obviously, drivers could do the reverse strategy and start in hards. And it is a wet race, as we mentioned. So that all goes out the window. I completely forgot about that. Never mind.
Yeah, so wet it is, and looks like everyone is going to be on the inter tires.
Silly me.
So let's take a look and see. Who else is going to be. Let's see what the grid is going to be like. So Hunted will be inheriting the back row because of that penalty. So then we move on. So row 8, Will and FBL. Cam and Owen will inherit row 7. Zakaria, Shanghai will be row 6. Tadpole and Josh, row 5. TB Annex, row 4. Redfire and Luke, row 3. Beatnik, Cryptic, row 2. And Reece and Scyther making up the front row. So it is inters for all the drivers. Now, I'm probably going to safely assume we will have a one-stop. I don't know if one set of inters can go the entire race.
Who knows?
We'll have to wait and see on that.
Will it dry up too?
But
here we go.
I think it will be. We'll have to wait and see on that. But here we go. The 5 lights come on to start the Italian Grand Prix of RPL. And it's lights out, and away we go. Good reaction from Scyther as he gets ahead of Reece, and Cryptic's starting to get ahead. Reece got a horrible start.
Wow.
He's lost several positions as they hit into turn 1.
Oh boy. Here we go for turn 1.
There we go. As they navigate easy. Whoa. Looks like Beatnik just went for a little slide, and Reece disconnects again.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Reece is not having a good time with that connection, to say the least. But as the drivers head down into the second chicane, as they start to peter out and easily navigate their way safely through, Reece's AI horribly falling backwards. And it looks like there's our second McLaren at Gerard, but unfortunately he came in too late, and he is now. So now we're only kicking it off with 17, but Scyther gets the lead ahead, and Reece, I mean, very unfortunate connection problems holding him up. I mean, plus also he lost a lot of ground.
He did.
At that start. I mean, literally by turn 1, he was already close to losing 6th place.
Second place in this race is a battle on track now at Cryptic and L74G. Window wide open in the championship now for Skidder to gain some places and some points. How about Cryptic going through an L74G? That got close for a moment right there as Beatnik gets Annex. The only issues I saw there was an AlphaTauri dipping their wheels into the grass, Hunted, and Shanghai used the runoff. Everyone very clean. I did see a Mercedes slide turn 1, but they were literally tiptoeing their way through it, as now you got to brake very heavy for turn 1. Titan. It gets very, very tight here, especially in the wet now. Here we go for the lead.
Little bump and bonk by Josh and Beatnik. And speaking of which, that Mercedes going into a slide, that was Beatnik, I believe, and I'll have to look at it again. It was a little slight. I think there was slight contact that Beatnik had from somebody, but I couldn't see who it was from that angle. Whoa! Beatnik had to go wide into the runoff because of that battle between him and Josh. That might possibly go to the stewards if Beatnik feels that Josh forced him off. But as these guys are making their way through, we got a big fight in that midfield as Josh just slipping and sliding. He plummets all the way down to 10th now.
Zakaria's got damage.
He was battling with Tadpole for 6.
Zakaria hit the wall there, and his front wing partially came off there. Another incident that might go to the Stewards Titan is between the race lead. Skidder gave Cryptic the pinch heading to the Lesmos, and Cryptic was trying to find
it's 3 wide.
Trump for something for the lead, and you're right. There's 3 wide in the back of the field. They are trying to find every which way to get up to the front because there's a 5-car breakaway with 5 different teams.
Yeah, so Scyther leading the way as Cryptic now goes for the lead on the outside as they head to turn number 1. Who's going to break later? Who's going to get the better advantage? And looks like it is going to be Cryptic. Cryptic inherits the lead from Scyther. Luke sitting in third, Redfire in fourth, and TB is in fifth. And speaking of which, I think unless it changed, Redfire has the fastest lap of the Grand Prix right now as Scyther trying again as he goes down the inside into the braking zone, gets it, whoa, slide. But keeps it together, but Cryptic decides to go for the shot, but backs off into Lesmos, and looks like Tadpole has gone for a spin in the second variant. Reece once again disconnected due to bad connection. So Reece is being screwed over by the bad connection.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Luke battling with Cryptic to get in the second. Whoa, almost 3 wide. And was there contact between Scyther and Cryptic? There was a fight between Cryptic and Luke. Luke tried to get into second place. He almost 3 wide before Ascari.
Yeah.
My goodness, these three, Scyther, Cryptic, and Luke, they're like a pack of hungry hyenas fighting over a small slab of meat.
I mean, they've been back and forth at it for the whole start. Here's TB does get Luke. Something there happened to Luke, and he lost 2 places from it. And he slots in behind TB. Yeah, Cryptic and Scyther there heading into the Lesmos for the second time in a row. There they go, and luckily they keep it without damage. I don't know how. TB uses the runoff. Beatnik comes back and gets the spot over him. Redfire got third place from that. Oh my goodness, they were so lucky that none of them got damaged. But out to 3-car breakaway, and Redfire's into this race. P12 in the championship, highest driver without a podium in our standings, and Reece again lags out.
Reece is just not having a good day at all. This is the 4th time this event he's had lag out problems.
I'll get him an invite.
I mean, to be fair, don't discount out Redfire though, because I mean, McLaren got that huge buff a few weeks ago, so basically Redfire is a competitor to possibly fight for a win. I mean, 2 seasons ago, season 7 in Zandvoort, he came so close to getting a win until it got undone by the eventual winner, which was the Ferrari of Jacob Adamczak. But Redfire was on course to go for his first win, and in Zandvoort back then, that was in mixed conditions as TB, Luke, and Beatnik are fighting it out for 4th place. I wonder if Redfire is thinking maybe he could go for a shot against Cryptic to get himself into 2nd place.
And TB was sliding right there after contact with L74G heading into the following corner. Beatnik takes advantage. More importantly, the lead is at stake. That's the top 3.
Whoa!
It gets close. Redfire is off the road, and he's going to have to use the runoff and not get a penalty. Somehow he doesn't, but he comes out behind Luke, ahead of Beatnik and TB, who continue to battle, and the lead. Cryptic gets it over for Scyther, and that could change the complexion of this race with a battle for the championship gap to be gained on. Cryptic takes it, Scyther has to slot in behind, and now that gap goes from 91 points to a total of 73 between Reece and Skither. So Reece's lagouts extremely crucial toward this race, and Redfire back to 4th.
Yeah, unfortunately, Reece, because of the lagouts, he's sitting in the 15th position. Now, while I was on board with one of the Mercedes, I did see Redfire do a wiggle woggle in the braking zone at turn 1. I'm thinking what probably happened was Redfire outbroke himself. He was afraid he was going to hit either the Cryptic or Scyther ahead, so he took evasion to get out of the way and make sure he didn't hit anybody. And he went to the runoff, and unfortunately it did cost him 3rd place against Luke, because Luke's now in 3rd, and the fight is still there for that lead between Scyther and Cryptic. Oh, pull up the telemetry here. Look at the ERSs between the two. These two barely have much ERS.
Yeah.
They're like literally right around 20%.
I mean, if they keep going at it like this, they might crash. And Redfire almost went off the road at turn 1, and wow! Cryptic nearly just reenacted what happened with Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen right there at turn 2. Luckily, Cryptic keeps it on the road. Did I see Reece? I think I said Reece. That was Cryptic there at turn 2. My goodness.
Looks like Red Fire had a Gasly moment. He was in the gravel in turn 3, and he's plummeted all the way down to
TB's
10.
off.
It looks like TB went around too.
Oh my god! What is happening in this race so far? Owen, Kim, up from P14, P13 in the grid. Fair play to them. Red Fire now down outside the points. Josh takes advantage. I mean, it's all kicking off. And now 7-14 to the lead. Luke's got over Scyther, and now Scyther gives up second to Cryptic.
Yeah, so Luke winds up taking the lead from Scyther. Scyther switched up into third now. But as these guys are working their way around now, I mean, so much has happened. I mean, we had whatever happened in turn 2. It looked like Scyther got a little bit loose, bonked off the curb in turn 2, which resulted in the contact with Cryptic. TB went spinning in turn 5. Red Fire into the gravel in turn 3. Scyther retakes second place from Cryptic. There's so much action and craziness that just happened. It was hard to keep track of it all right now. It looks like Hunted just overtook TB for 8th place.
Yellow flags for Zakaria, by the way. I'm going to try to get Reece back in the session once again. He's still not back in properly, but with that happening to Reece, you know, the championship gap with Scyther potentially being anywhere from 3rd to 1st, that gap could be anywhere from 66 to 70-something points by the end of this race. That is how crucial that is. Hunted was in the back of TB trying to find some way past, can't do so. Molly is right there, making him in an Alpine sandwich. I mean, it just, the action so far in this race, we're only 7 laps in, Titan. I've seen so much right now, and this is very big. Reece's podium streak, Red Bull's point streak could be at stake. I know Cryptic's still up there, but a lot can happen, even with Cryptic's collision there with Scyther. It looked like they just locked wheels and that happened. I can't give Reece an invite because he's not shown his online there, so we'll figure that one out in just a moment. But that's not good for Reece, your championship leader. The luck is catching up to him, he says.
Yeah, so Reece is, like I said, just not having good luck at all. We were in the midfield here as Josh was trying to get past Will for the 9th place spot, and he does so. At the Will goes a little wide out there. Let's go back up to the front as Scyther has reeled Luke back in. I'm wondering if Scyther is willing to go for a shot to go against Luke. Now the funny thing is that the top 2, Luke and Scyther, these two together, I'll have to get my exact number, but they have a combined 145 wins across Tier 1, F2, and Tier 2 between the 3 of them. Scyther has, I believe it is 51 wins, grand total to his credit, and Luke has 92. So, I mean, literally, these guys have a lot of wins to their credit as Scyther slingshots past Luke, and he retakes the lead.
Yeah. I mean, these 3 leaders under 50% on their battery. Beat Nick, who's trying to get behind these guys, 60% on that battery. And annexing AlphaTauri, giving a shout out to him. First Tier 1 start, showing a lot of pace. He's really fighting it up here with these big boys. Up in the front, we see a move potentially being made. 5 championships between these two. 1, 2 right now in Tier 1 out of the 8 seasons ran. 5 of the 8. That's unbelievable. And your statistically best driver in RPL just takes the lead of Luke. And now they're going to think about going 3 wide. That Harry, Cryptic to the outside, trying to find a way past. He does get past. Red Bull take back the top spot.
What a wild series of events as they wound up coming out of Parabolica down the main straight.
God.
Whoa, wow. I mean,
on the grass.
This is really insane. I mean, literally, Scyther putting a tire or 2 in the grass in turn 3 to try to get past Luke, and he does so, gets into the grass again in the braking zone. How in the world did Scyther not lose it?
Oh my god. This aggressive racing has just caught Beatnik up here right to the back of his teammate. And you know what? Skither and Cryptic don't have a teammate inside that top 5. So this is...
Well, it looks like Owen's around in the chicane.
Yeah, Cole got a 5-second for trying to avoid that, I think. So, That's unfortunate to his race, but my goodness, like that's the perfect scenario here for L740 and Beatnik, with the two teammates right there. They're inside the only repeating car inside that top 5. Perfect scenario for them to try to help win themselves a second race of the season. Mercedes. I think Luke's last win. I mean, it does come last season, but I don't know if it's Zandvoort or a different race. I'll check that just now. But the battle between the top 2 is Skither and Cryptic, who collided there earlier, continues. He takes back the race with a Parabolica, switches back, does it, and now
into the pits.
There you go. That's why he wanted that inside line.
I'm wondering, is he gonna go to another set of inters, or is the rain getting that much heavy? It's gonna be wet weather. No, it's inters. It is inters.
That's that decided. We know what he's doing right there. So that's a good thing
I did check back at the results. Scyther's last win was in Spain earlier in the season.
Yep.
Cryptic's last win was in Jeddah earlier in the season as well. I mean, we'll probably have to locate Luke's last win. Beatnik's last win though was Monza back in season 7.
You said Jeddah.
And the ironic thing is that look who just snuck his way into 4th place and is starting to gain ground on the top 3. Annex. He literally is just making his Tier 1 debut. He has a win in F2 earlier today, and he is really showing some stride in that AlphaTauri.
Yeah, Cam just let Josh go for 5th place. Did you say Jeddah this season or Jeddah last season?
Jeddah's this season. Cryptic won that race.
Last season you said?
No, this season. That was the last time Cryptic won.
I thought that was TB who won the season at Jeddah.
Wait, did I mistake? Oh yeah, I did. Never mind. I just saw Cryptic. I saw Cryptic's name and I know. I got that mixed up. My fault.
No, you're good. You're good. I thought to myself, I'm like, did he forget TB existed, or did he just forget that it was Cryptic? Don't worry.
That was on me. I forgot.
No, you're good.
That was an oops on my part.
Luke's last win comes in Brazil last season, the penultimate round, I believe. So there you go on that one. I'll check if any stewards affected that one or not. But yeah, this should be very interesting in terms of pitch strategy and everything else. You see, Skipper Zakaria.
You have to look in season 6. That was the last time Cryptic won. Was back in season 6. Oh, Cam's around. Yeah.
That's not good. I think that was from TB. I'll clip it.
You're saying that possibly Cam and TB came together?
Yeah, I think TB was the one who clipped him, but if not, it could have been Hunted. It was around that area from 7th place. Cam recently just let Josh go, too, to try to help himself there. And Beatnik, that's a top 3 driver with a penalty.
Yeah, he got it exiting out of Ascari. I think he got a little too wide on that exit, but he is now in the penalty club along with TB, Tadpole, and Zakaria, and Beatnik actually is coming in now.
Well,
so TB, the next driver to get off of the inters to go on to another set. But Luke, by the way, is catching up to Cryptic. Oh, a little tap from behind in the turn 1. Now, I did have the record. I did have the records just a slight bit wrong. Luke actually has 90 wins to his credit. Jesus, Reece, you are not having a good day, my friend. Not good day at all.
I'll get him.
But Luke has 90 wins to his credit. He has 42 in F1, 46 in F2, and only 2 in Tier 2. Cryptic, he has 6 wins to his credit, 2 in F1, 2 in Tier 2, 2 in F2. Scyther has 50 wins on his credit with 26 in F2, 23 in F1, and 2 in Tier 2. So, I mean, literally, before Scyther went off into the pits, between Cryptic, Luke, and Scyther, I mean, literally, those 3 have a combined 146 wins. And I might be a slight bit off on the championships, but I believe if my memory's right, they have a grand total, I think, of 15 championships across the 3 tiers between them.
Wow. Luke barely got it. Speaking of Luke, Luke barely got it in just under the limit. That was very, very close there. Second place, Luke comes in, and Hunted TB, Redfire, they're in a big battle. TB pits, so he gets that out of the way. Redfire now looking on Hunted. Whoa, that got close there. He dips to the white line and does get past. So you spoke of Scyther and Luke. What we do know for sure is they're both F2 champions. They both won Tier 1 championships, and Hunted gives Redfire the boot at turn 1. Redfire used to run off, and Redfire gets a penalty for that, but I think Hunted wants to make sure Redfire got out ahead of him, but Redfire has to give the spot up due to a legal overtake, and now Skither takes advantage of that, and this is perfect because Skither could have been caught in dirty air right here, could have been caught in a big sandwich, but is now trying to get by Hunted, and I think he should be clear. No, not just yet. This is a bit of contact. He pinches Hunted, gives him the shove, and now Skither's ahead. So yeah, there we go. That's perfect for them. And Invade comments in chat about the race so far. I would agree. Here's Hunted inside line, Redfire again. Can't get it done right there. So they all remain single file right there. Yep, 5 championships between Luke and Scyther. Both of 8 seasons in Tier 1. That's over half the seasons. Impressive stuff right there.
I'm wondering if if what you're saying is true, that Redfire was punted off into the runoff by Hunted, it is most likely, if that is wound up true, and he winds up submitting a clip as Cryptic is now in, I think if that is actually the case, and it is confirmed to be true, then maybe Redfire could get that 3-second penalty removed, because it wasn't a track limit penalty. We saw on the screen it was a 3-second corner cut penalty, so that could easily get removed if Redfire was indeed forced off, as you described.
And without race director too, because it's a straight up penalty rather than a track limit penalty that was with warnings. So that, you're right, exactly right. That could be straight up removed. Cryptic comes out of the pit lane behind Luke and behind Beatnik. So now this is technically, even though Beatnik has a penalty, this is technically both Mercedes versus Skither. Skither is easily out into the distance right there, even with the contact that he had previously, even with potentially falling down the order. When he pitted right there, trying to get that undercut, he is now built nearly a 5-second gap over Beatnik. And why is this crucial? Well, those 25 points added to his name would not only help Ferrari in this situation, try to gain back points to Red Bull constructor standings, but it would help him in driver standings. The driver standings, 91 points. Well, you add 25 to it, 66 points. With Reece having this luck that he's had today, he wouldn't even be counted as finished because he's not been in the session the full time. And we spoke about his streak of on the podium and stuff like that, well, except for the one race that he was off it.
Yeah, that's going to go all awry.
Exactly.
I mean, literally, the way the rule works is that if you are not in control of your car for 75% of the race distance, you will actually be removed from the event, and you'll be marked as a disqualification.
And
so 75%, meaning that if you, since it's 27 laps right now, 75% would mean you have to complete around 20 to 21 laps under your own power, which means you have to miss 7 or 8 laps. We're on lap 15, and Reece has been struggling pretty much all race. So sadly, even if Reece's AI finishes in the points, he's out.
Yeah.
And currently, right now, the only points for Red Bull is falling on Cryptic, who right now is sitting in 7th with only 6 points. But, I mean, bear in mind, it's also because, think about this, the top 3 right now, Annex, Josh, and Will, they have yet to pit. They are still out on track right now. Annex is currently leading the pack right now. So I'm wondering, I mean, will they be coming in? Or are they going to go absolutely mind-blowing insane and just go the entire race on that one set of inters?
So here's the thing, though. If they do have to pit because of any risk of punctures, which I would assume they might, I don't have any race data on anything wet, but I do have race data on the pit stop loss. Pit stop loss here, 23.5 seconds. So it's important because he's come up behind
Will
Hunted,
and Josh are going in.
Right. So we just missed something, by the way, just a moment ago, and it wasn't too severe, but Hunted held up L740 and Beatnik a little bit there, causing I know there's no DRS, but for Cryptic to be within that 1 second window now, so he's closed up to Beatnik and Luke. And the funny thing was, when that battle was happening with Beatnik, Luke, and Hunted, I believe whatever Mercedes was behind the other one didn't want to pass the one in front, and it caused Hunted to throw it down the inside. And as soon as he realized he made contact with the Mercedes and couldn't do anything about it, well, he had let Cryptic go, and it's now allowed Cryptic to give Beatnik some pressure. So this just got interesting with how that happened there for what is net P2 in this race.
By the looks of it, looking at how they came out, Josh and Will were second and third. They're back out and they're 6th and 7th right now. And I believe if Annex comes in, he will stay in the 5th place position. I think he'll stay just ahead of Josh. You said 23 and a half seconds. Yep. Annex is 27 seconds ahead of Josh, so Annex will have a comfortable gap over Josh, unless he gets a bad stop. And looks like no, Zakaria has gone into the pits. He's retired, so he's out. Annex is in, so now Scyther will inherit the lead, and the gap between Scyther and Luke is 3.5 seconds, and the gap is steady, is hanging steady. And Cryptic into turn 1 on the outside, now inside against Beatnik, and he gets up and into the 3rd place position.
Wow. Well,
so basically Cryptic is playing damage control for Red Bull right now. I mean, right now, Cryptic is looking at 15 points. Scyther is at 25. Josh is with 8. So that means, if my memory is right, if the race ended right now with no penalties, yada yada, Ferrari is looking to gain 18 points in their constructors deficit to Red Bull.
Absolutely, and another thing to mention, Titan, 1 DNF last week in the race. It's only 1 DNF right now, and 1 safety car in the last 5 races here in Tier 1. Couple things to mention with that. That 1 DNF, well, that was the first time that happened in Tier 2 and Tier 1, and this is not including people who are classified. This is straight up DNF. DNF at the end of the race. First time that happened so far in RPL and F123. Could happen for a second consecutive week if things stay the way they are. I mean, you said Reece would be removed. It wouldn't be counted as a DNF. It'd be a complete, basically, disqualification for him if he was not in the car for the whole time. So that's not a DNF. And he still isn't back. So that luck to catch back up to him. And it really is unfortunate for Reece. So we'll have to see how the rest of this race plays out. Not many cars close to one another, but some people within that 1 second window. And with second leading, exactly your point. Cryptic trying to play damage control. It's smart to do that. And you know what? You want to get as much points as you can for the team, because there are 396 on offer, and the bottom 3 in the constructors are no longer eligible. So we're getting to that point where we'll have to work out scenarios quite sometime soon here for the constructors. And 208 points on offer after today for the drivers' standings. So very interesting stuff, by the way.
While you were talking, I was just on board with Red Fire. He just got past his Alpine Academy teammate TB to get himself into the 9th place position. Red Fire, he does have that 3-second penalty. However, I have a good feeling he'll probably get that removed. As you mentioned earlier, he got collected in an incident with Hunted, which was why he went off. TB got a track limit penalty. But nice thing is that they'll keep their positions where they are, because, I mean, TB, he is 7 seconds ahead of Owen and pulling away. As well, now Cam has joined the penalty club. Looks like just like how Beatnik was in Ascari. So Beatnik got a track limit penalty in Ascari. And looks like Hunted just joined them as well. He was in Ascari as well. So Ascari is really rearing its ugly head on track limit penalties.
Josh on Annex for 5th place. This is really, I would call it best of the rest, and surprised to see Josh in the area, considering he's won 2 races this season. He does get through, so helping Ferrari's chances of gaining points in the constructor standings, no doubt about it. They have 35 points compared to Red Bull's 15, and Red Fire gets by Cam a little bit of a boxing match there at turn number 1. Goes without saying, and TB also looking to. The interesting thing I found from this whole thing with guys, I'm actually going to hold on about that because they're still battling into turn 4. TB trying to outbreak him, can't outbreak him, and there's a retirement. There's the crash.
We're gonna have I think we may have a safety car.
There's your
This tadpole has crashed in the entry of turn 3.
Oh no. Well,
It's a VSC right now.
It's upgraded, yeah. Fair point.
I think if I saw it right, Tadpole was around with Shanghai and FBL at the time of the incident.
Yeah.
So
around that area.
I'm wondering if maybe possibly did one of them make contact with Tadpole?
Scyther's in from the lead.
Well, this is interesting.
Wow. Oh my.
But is this a wise choice though?
I know, that's exactly my thought. It's inters. And it's fresh
He's
inters.
going for another set of inters, but the thing is, now that is going to put him way behind, and now Josh and Annex have passed him, and Scyther now is going to possibly lose 6 to Will. So
side by side out of the pit lane.
If I was going with the pit strats, I would probably safely say I think that was a misplay on Scyther's part to pit from the lead, especially with the VSC ending. So I think that was a serious misplay on Scyther's part, and that basically just turned off a win for Scyther. I mean, that's probably out of his hair now.
The big thing we don't know is how are these guys' tire length? Did Scyther genuinely feel like there's a chance at a puncture? Because those guys on 6, 7, 8 lap tires in front of the field, is that why Scyther feels there could be some risk toward his name? Does he feel like he can gain this much back? And that's TB, who is part of the Yellow Flags. Just had a moment there at Osmos. If Scyther genuinely feels that way, then he could either really win out with this one, or he's really going to lose out. But very bold, and now for the lead. Cryptic on L74G, talking about limiting the damage. Red Bull, well, here you go. Red Bull trying to continue that podium streak and the point streak, while Mercedes do the same for theirs. Now try to take back the race lead for a second win of the season. Can they get with Luke? Luke trying, can't get her on the outside, so you might as well try the switchback. Well, not enough room for it just yet.
Well, to be fair, in regards to the ERS deployment, Cryptic is hanging around in the 20% range for ERS, while Luke has basically double that in the 50s range. Now, also don't forget, Luke does have the fastest lap of the race, so maybe Scyther was also considering stealing the fastest lap from Luke, but like I said before, I think Scyther pitting from the lead right as the VSC was ending, I think that was probably a misplay on his part. Because, if I'm looking, let's take a look at the thing now. He is 14 seconds behind Cryptic, and there's only 6 laps to go. Scyther is going to have to pull over 2 seconds a lap faster than Cryptic in order to get back up to challenge for the lead.
Yeah, he was definitely hoping for it to upgrade to a full safety car or something, man. I don't know there. One DNF in the last race turns into 2. In this race, no full safety car, but a VSC. That's like a second for time he's seen that in the last couple of races. So, yeah, a lot's happened there, a lot's changed there. But now back to the lead. Luke,
and the ironic thing, the lone DNF in Zandvoort last week was Tadpole.
Yeah, that was true, and it was due to him following in a pair of cars as well, just like this time. Annex on the back of Josh in a Ferrari sandwich. Well, actually, it's 3 Italy cars following one another. Ferrari from Italy, AlphaTauri from Italy. So this gets interesting in this pair. We're 4th place as well. Here's Scyther ducking out. He wants to make the move now, and he does. He is passed. And now he's trying on his teammate who should let him go, and he does. So fair play right there. But you got to be careful not to lose 2 spots to Annex now, and he doesn't. So easily done by Ferrari. He's up to 4th, but now he's got to find some way to go catch 12 seconds of lead in the next 5-6 laps. And I was going to cut in and say, for an Italy race, and especially this being in the wet, usually Italy in the dry goes quicker, but Italy in the wet, it's been quite a quick race, and it's been fairly quiet. So hopefully the stewards have a nice nice evening, I'll say, because they should be able to not have many incidents from the way things have gone so far.
So looking at the graphic right now, Scyther has to gain another 4.7 seconds on Beatnik to be within 3 seconds to steal 3rd from Beatnik.
Look.
As Luke is looking. Here he goes. Outside. Now inside. Ooh, tiny slide from Cryptic. But they're still side by side as they head out. On board with Cryptic as he is battling Luke. Checking out from the side cam as Luke is just edging his way ahead. And Luke does get ahead. If I caught from what you said, it was last season, Brazil was the last time Luke won a race?
Yes, it was. I think that's 14, 15-ish races ago. I'll check the exact number. It was Brazil. Penultimate round.
Yeah, it'd be really interesting to see Luke wind up getting a win after basically hanging away for a little while. Yep. I think if my memory's right, he wasn't around racing for a bit. And this is only I think this is what, a 2nd race or a 3rd race in the Mercedes? I mean, he wasn't doing much in regards to racing for this season. But now he's got the lead, and he is now starting to pull a slight gap over Cryptic. Yeah,
when he did come back, Titan, he came back for a couple starts in the Williams, remember, when he was out and he won a couple of times.
Yes.
And then he got put in the Mercedes a couple races ago. So, yeah, 15 races ago in Brazil, that last victory. And Scyther is starting to catch back up. He's 8 seconds behind, so he should be able to get Beatnik. But the lead is what he wants more, surely. And these tires will start to fall off, but the question is, how much? And TB just mentioned in the chat, he feels whatever happened in that incident with him, that's a race ban.
Let's see. Yeah, just taking a look, it says, and that's a race ban. If I don't get a pen for fire rejoining on the second center of the circuit, then I'll get a pen for Cam carrying no speed in a corner and me not being able to react in time. It said if he was in a McLaren, he'd be top 5 right now. So I guess TB venting some frustration, that's for sure. But yeah, so just looking at the graphic now, Scyther 3.9 seconds behind Beatnik. He was almost 7 seconds behind about a lap and a half ago.
Yeah.
So Scyther really starting to claw back.
Yeah, he's gained the gap quite a bit, but not as much as he's needing to in order to catch the leaders. He literally, you can see him within the leader's distance, funny enough, too. But he literally is going to need these guys to continue to battle and potentially a puncture. Or, if not a puncture, these tires will fall off that badly. He was 8.0 lap. Now, at the end of this lap, he's 6.1 back. So with 3 laps remaining, he's going to need 2 seconds per lap to at least have a chance here at the end. He's got to use more battery in order to do so. Yeah, and he needs these 2 to battle, which they are within more closing range than they were just a moment ago for the lead. Cryptic and L74G. Cryptic is another name that's interesting to me, Titan. Cryptic hasn't won a race this season either. There's 2 guys who haven't won this season, looking to become the 7th different winner and first win this season.
And Cryptic does have the longest span. He hasn't won since season 6, and he will love to have a win on his credit. Luke hasn't won since Brazil last season. I'm trying to remember what team he was at that point when he did that. I believe it was probably a Red Bull.
Yep.
But yeah, Cryptic hasn't won in quite a while. Would be nice for him to possibly see him back on the top step.
Let me just cut in for a second.
1.7 seconds right behind Beatnik, so he'll steal 3rd. And he does have the
believe
fastest lap. So right
with
now, looking
that.
at the live championship, Ferrari is going to gain
Oh my God.
8 points in the constructors against Red Bull.
Yeah, very interesting with that. Just sorry to cut in, but I need to mention this. That gap is going to be 4.0 by the end of this lap. Scyther's doing exactly what he needs, but the thing is, though, if he can get to these guys just in time, he has to get by Beatnik fast. He has to get by Beatnik immediately. Beatnik has to do that damage control for his team, and here goes Cryptic looking for the race lead. It has been an extremely long time, nearly 55 plus races, maybe more. I don't know. It's a long, long time. Team 6 to be exact, though, on the last time he won. He's trying to look for the lead. And for third place in this race, Skitter's trying to look unbeaten. The gap is 3.5. He needs to get the gap down to 2 seconds by the end of this lap to at least have a chance for this race victory. By the end of the lap.
Scyther is in poised position to get that third from Beatnik. He's all over the back of him. Cryptic, I think, easily is knowing that Scyther is gaining ground and quick. So let's hope. I mean, we'll have to see what happens. I mean, 2 seasons ago, yeah, Scyther trying to make the shot. Let's see what happens. He's inside. He's going for it. He's got it. Scyther in the third.
Beatnik did the best he could to at least hold him up for a little bit, because you saw he struggled there on traction. He didn't get the gap down to 2.0. He's going to have to try and parabolic this time if he wants to close up to the back of these guys. But these guys battling could definitely change it too, and Beatnik was having a look now in Scyther too. So that gap, it's 2.5 in the lead.
Oh!
Wow.
Cryptic just had a slip. Well, I'm just wondering what's going to happen here. I mean, last season we had a Ferrari and a Red Bull collide with an Alpine winning. 2 seasons ago, we had a Red Bull and a Ferrari collide, which resulted in the other Ferrari winning. I'm just wondering what's going to happen on this final lap. Will we see a Mercedes and a Red Bull collide and a Ferrari take the win?
Annex and Josh just
speaking of crashes, we got a 3-car incident.
We got to get back to the lead here, because that gap with 2.5 now, 2.4 was 2.3 for a moment. If he does gain enough and he does find a way to close in, I don't know if he can now. He might not. Cryptic making a vital mistake there in the Lesmos. That might have just sealed the deal. I was just going to say, does look back up Cryptic here. Scyther does gain enough time, but the only thing that can change this race now, in order for Scyther to win this race or gain a spot, is punctures or spins. But I think it's just sealed the deal. Luke could win his first race since 15 races ago in Brazil last season when he was in a Red Bull. Now he could beat a Red Bull and a Mercedes.
Yeah, he had a great fight against Cryptic for a good large chunk of the race. But here he comes as he comes out of the final corner for the final time. He hasn't won since last season, Brazil. He has 42 to his credit. He is going to get number 43. Luke wins in Monza. Cryptic will come in second. Scyther, what a good recovery to get himself in the third. Beatnik gets himself in the fourth. Annex, by the way, on his Tier 1 debut, gets 5th place for AlphaTauri. Josh would have finished 6th, but a track limit penalty demotes him to 7th. Will take 6th place. Redfire, here he comes across the line. He'll cross the line in 8th. And Cam will be coming across. He'll claim the 9th finishing spot. And Hunted, is he going to get it? Looks like, well, he's going to cross the line 10th, but I think FPL, he nicks it. FPL, Williams scores a point by under 2/10.
Very big for that battle. In the last bottom 3 spots. I think we eliminate some more constructors here in terms of the battle for the championship. I believe it's Alfa Romeo no longer eligible as we head to Singapore next week. My goodness. Owen battles Reece's ghosted car. Owen is 13th. And I believe that will be it once TV crosses the line. Well, 3 different teams in the top 3. How about that once again? Beatnik says he held up Scyther just
Scyther was not happy.
I know.
Seither was not happy. He said that the VSC ended before he even knew about it, so the VSC screwed him. And Luke said it actually saved him.
Yeah, there you go.
And Beatnik just said he held Seither up long enough to win. And I'll be straight up honest. He's on the top step. And in my opinion, I'm giving him driver today. I'm giving Luke driver today. He did really good battling it out against Cryptic and against Scyther. Kept his composure and even kept the lead, even against a lot of pressure from Cryptic. I mean, Luke is basically a hardened, grizzled veteran in RPL F1, and he wound up doing it. He defied the odds and got Mercedes another victory. What a legend.
Molly deserves a shout out too. You know, it could be driver of the day worthy, but I still give it to Luke regardless. I was going to say Molly deserves the credit from going from 16th to 6th. Alpine won this race last season. They have a good points day with him. He deserves all the credit in the world for helping out Alpine out there and considering what happened to TB in this race. AlphaTauri, another points finish for them. Guess what? In terms of that 5th place, best finish this season. Their best finish previously was 6th twice. They now have their best finish be 5th, tying Alpine and Williams for their best finish as teams. So there you go. There are your final results. L74G wins it over Cryptic, over Scyther, Beatnik Annex top 5, and you can just now see the rest of the order as we have some people leaving the session and migrating host errors. But yeah, you see penalties with drivers. You see the final results. Only 2 DNFs of this race. I mean, like, considering that aspect of it, and very small incidents. I mean, there were some incidents, but even then, I think there were about 4 or 5 incidents. Considering a full wet race, well, I shouldn't say full wet. I mean, it was rain the whole time. We'll put it that way. Rain the whole time during the whole race, right? It gave us a good race, and it gave us less incidents than you'd have in your normal Italy race, maybe in the drive. So, fair play to the drivers too with that. Tons of respect with the racing, at least for most of it.
So yeah, so this is the results here. So Luke is your winner, Cryptic 2nd, Scyther 3rd, Beatnik 4, Annex 5, Mally in 6, Josh 7, Redfire 8, Cam 9, FBL wind up getting the last point, just nipping it from Hunted. And before penalty reports come out, Scyther and Josh's finish, if it sits as it is, Ferrari has gained 4 points against Red Bull in the constructors' standings. Now, had Scyther not pitted and he wound up going forward to win the race, it could have been much higher. But, I mean, even though it is a 4-point gain, I mean, even the smallest of gains is actually quite beneficial because every point is crucial in any of the championships. And with Reece having that problem and not finishing, Scyther gained 16 points on Reece. So 91 points was the separation. Now it is 75 before the penalty report.
I'm fine with staring at the race results for the rest of the stream before it ends. I'll tell you that right now. A 7th different winner in the season. With that said as well, Mercedes get their 2nd win of the season. They've already won a race. They won it with Josh in Canada, and they win a wet Monza race. And you spoke about championship standings. Well, that gap between Reece and Scyther becomes 91 to 75. So interesting stuff right there between your top 2 in the championship. As we had Singapore next week. We had a Singapore next week for F2 and Tier 1. And that's with the track change, or I should say the Sector 3 change, where instead of a couple of chicanes, there's a complete straight now. So we'll see how the drivers do fare at that in terms of next week. I would say, in terms of rating this race, this race, I'm not going to rate it compared to many other races, but I will say, in terms of some of the dry races we've had this season, this being a wet race the entire time, and we know it's a lot harder to pass in the wet, I'd still say this race was better than quite a few races this season, in my mind about it. It still gave us the action, gave us a lot to look forward to. Your previous Tier 1 champions of Mali, their L74G. They performed really well. They gave us a show. A lot of drivers gave us a show, but they stood out the most. Champions shown why they're previous RPL champions in RPL's history as well today. So a lot happening. Reece, another finish. Well, technically not a finish after everything gets classified, I guess, but another race where it's not a podium. He's only had one finish off that podium. It's incredible to think. And I edited the creator dashboard before coming in to give you access there to the tier 1 keys, I guess. And I put in a thing, I said, can Reece win 3 in a row? Well, that has just turned into a jinx right there. I was gonna add them tune in to find out. Whoever tuned in to find out, well, he found out.
So I guess that means Reece has somebody to blame for his bad connection. He'll probably blame you for jinxing him.
Hey, I think he's also hoping there should have been a pole point right there. He would have got an extra point, but then again, Scyther would probably even close the gap in the championship with that said, because Scyther's been fastest in qualifying 6 races this season, and he's only attended total of 8, I believe. So, yeah, that's crazy too.
Well, I mean, I'm still stuck looking at the screen here, but
So
like I said, I put Luke as driver today, in my opinion, because of his tenacity and how well he did in that race. 2 other drivers that were actually good contenders. Will in the Alpine, he did pretty good. It's been a while since we saw him in a tier 1 race. He actually performed really good. He performed pretty decently in regards to that event. He did pretty great in that one. Another driver that's also a good honorable mention, Annex, his tier 1 debut. He was hanging around in the middle of the top 10 pretty much most of the race, and managed to keep it cool and finish in 5th place. It was actually a really good finish there, and no doubt in my mind there.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That is going to conclude the stream for today. So let's take a look at next week's events, and let's get everything lined up here. So next Friday, if I get the thing up, here we go. So next Friday, the 6th of October, the Tier 2 drivers will be racing around in Silverstone. It's going to be a home track for quite a few of the Tier 2 drivers. Ryan Alcom will be on deck for comms in that one.
Yep.
F2 next Saturday will be racing around the new layout of Singapore. Now, that event, normally it would be happening at around like 11:15 a.m. EST or 4:15 p.m. UK time. That race is actually going to be delayed to basically noon Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. UK time, because, at 4 p.m. UK is the sprint shootout for F1 in Qatar. So I wound up asking the drivers, saying, hey, what do you guys want to do? Do you want to run races normal, delay it till the following week, or start the event later? And so far off the vote, 10 people have voted to have it happen a bit later. So that's basically what it's going to be. And then for Tier 1, crazily enough, they're going to be at Singapore too. Now for F2, Ryan Ockham will be on deck for comms that day. And correct me if I'm wrong. You said for Singapore next week, you're not going to be here?
No, I had a chance of potentially missing it. I should be there. I checked with everything there. I should 98% be there. I'll put it that way. There's a very small chance of me missing it, but after I talk some things over, I absolutely probably doubt I'll miss it, but it's still a very slim chance. So I should make that one for next week. I love the new change with Singapore, so I wouldn't want to miss that one. And even the viewers, I hope you wouldn't want to miss that one either. The new track layout change.
I'm looking forward to it too. I actually did some I actually didn't wind up doing some laps in for that one because if I counted it correctly, if I saw it correctly with the calendar dates and stuff, Singapore, which is going to be round 8 on the Tier 2 calendar, which is going to be in just over a month. I mean, if a team is willing to give it a shot, I will probably be appearing and racing there. And the reason I said that is because if I counted it right, so on the 5th of November is when the United States' daylight savings time ends, so we dial it back an hour. The UK's daylight savings time ends a week earlier, which is the morning of the 29th. So that means once they dial it back on the 29th of October, that means for people that are in the US, England is going to be 4 hours ahead just for that 1 week only.
Correct.
And because of that, that means, literally, I get home from work at 4 in the afternoon Eastern Standard Time, so I'd be able to make it in time to race in Tier 2.
There you go. That'd be amazing to see you there. What race is that again?
You broke out. Can you say that
I
again?
said what race is that again? Not for Tier 2?
Singapore.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, Singapore. Basically, Singapore is which is round. So basically, that weekend for that weekend I'm talking about. So it's Singapore for Tier 2, which is round 8. That Shanghai for F2 is round 8, and for Tier 1, it's Mexico.
Yeah, that's interesting to say the least. One more thing I want to mention.
I'm actually excited. I'm actually excited for Coda and Vegas because I actually got when the lights come on and the lights come off. I actually have two funny ways to kick it off for that.
I think I know where you're going.
I won't say anything. You're just gonna love it.
I know where you're going with that. I do. I'll say it after we end the stream. One thing I want to mention, Titan, if you can look at this, you're still in the results menu, right?
Yeah.
Scroll all the way to the bottom on lap 27, go to race director. Scroll all the way to the bottom on lap 27 with Luke, Cryptic, and Skither. And the lap time Skither was gaining, he was gaining so much and then it started falling off. And you can see the lap time of Beatnik there. If he didn't cost himself in the last 2 laps there and he's still sitting in the 28s with those lap times, he would have been right in the back of Cryptic right there. And I was going to mention it in the last couple laps. I thought Luke, if Skither caught up, I thought Luke would probably pull a Carlos Sainz from Singapore. I genuinely thought so. You just looking at these lap times on the stream, the lap time and the wear, they did fall off like Skither thought they were, but at the same time, they didn't fall off that badly though either. That's the thing. That's what he was hoping for maybe in that sense. And he did gain pace. He did do what he thought he would, but that's exactly the point. And when he said, well, the VSC screwed me, and that little bit of time, he was, 2 seconds off the winner? That's the exact point that he makes right there. Yeah,
almost 3 seconds he was.
1.7, yeah. There you go. The lap times he was gaining, I just found that so interesting to look at. I wanted to make sure we got that in.
1.7, sorry.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure we got that in before we ended the stream because, he was just, if those last 2 lap times obviously weren't affected the way they were, and even the VSE, we can make up so many what ifs about whether Skid wins this race or not. But the lap time he gained as well in the process, that I find impressive too. And regardless of who's driver of the day and who's not, obviously we gave Luke driver of the day. It shows the talent Skidder has in terms of overall pace and how smart he is in a sense. If he didn't get screwed by that, we could call it dumb because it didn't work out. But in reality, it's smart if the scenarios work all perfect for you, and they didn't. So in terms of 208 points being on offer after today as well, with the final 8 races of the season and a 75-point gap, think about a guy who can pull that kind of strategy under the right circumstances, gain the amount of lap times he has with the pace he did, and compare it to Reece. I know Reece wasn't in full force today, but to me, that's something that's scary and showing if he makes every race from here, well, he's definitely back all right. I can guarantee you that. So we'll just find out in Singapore if he's back or not, because you know what? It's a brand new thing for the drivers. We've never raced under that. We've talked about Zandvoort last week, Titan, how the DRS zone was short and farther back well, not shortened, but increased to farther back, right in the banking there, and that was a new help for the drivers to help their overtaking towards turn one, and it made a difference. It made the racing better. Now we get to see what this Singapore racing does with no chicane. Well, two chicanes getting rid of there in sector two. We'll see what that does. Not necessarily no chicane, but two chicanes getting rid of. We'll see what that does for the racing and how the drivers fare with that. Hopefully, we have full qualifying next week to talk about that a little more.
Indeed, we'll definitely find out at Singapore for next week. So from RPL Streams, Ty and Ironwolf and Ryan Alcon, we say good night and have a good one.